Let's get the details on this, why this is the situation, and bring in Abhinay Muthoo, a professor of economics at the University of Warwick. Mr. Muthoo, you are quite optimistic yourself about the results of Brexit once it's really in place and the UK is out of the EU. How do you explain the fact that so many companies were saying they're going to move their businesses to continental Europe, and now it's just a handful of them? Why is that?
Hello, Fanny. Well, there are two main reasons. One is, of course, that they want to wait to see how the uncertainty will be removed, in what way, because that will inform the costs of doing business, what sort of trade agreement will be reached and access to the European market. The second reason has to do with the fundamentals of the British economy, which are based on strong institutions. So one thing we don't hear is that when businesses are deciding on where to locate, whether to invest, it is not just the access to the market, the costliness of the access to the market. It's also the business environment, the enabling environment, whether there's a strong rule of law in place, whether corruption is low, the tax environment is good. There are a whole host of factors, which I will sum up as institutional factors, that determines the costs of doing business. So that is why they're holding back. They're holding back to see how the uncertainty will be resolved vis-à-vis EU, and then they'll weigh that against the quality of the institutions here in terms of doing business versus there. And they have to add up all the costs and benefits before they make the decision.
Right, so they're just basically being patient. This is something you have also said today in an article that you wrote. You also said both parties, the UK and the EU, have a common interest to reach a deal, including on trade. But at the same time, however, they have a number of conflicting interests. So what are you hearing from business leaders? Why are they thinking the UK may come out as a positive, as a positive winner even of this entire situation? This so little known.
So I think that, right, I think that given where we are, compromise, as I point out in my article, is crucial here from both sides. The deal that will be struck, if it's struck, of course, and in time, will be one that involves both parties compromising along the many dimensions. So there are many dimensions on the table, and the two parties will compromise in different ways along these dimensions. And that's going to be crucial. I expect that as the negotiations start and continue, that will be key. Yes, there has been a lot of posturing, a lot of talk, and in fact, our Prime Minister May has, deployed what I call a commitment tactic. She's not going to backtrack on certain things, and that informs the negotiations. I expect the UK will get a decent deal. I expect the EU will get a decent deal. Again, it's all in the context of where we are, I'm afraid. Interestingly, her letter to President Tusk sets the right tone. I expect that while there'll be bumps on the way, that the negotiations need to be conducted in good faith, with good trust, and that's crucial for success. I should add that, as I point out.
Abhinay Muthoo, thank you very much. You're quite optimistic about the economic fallout of Brexit, the professor of economics in London at the University of Warwick. Thank you very much for your analysis.